All right. Hey. What's going
Hi.
on? It's another tribe talking on a Tuesday with Miriam, who's fiddling with lights. And today I have, hi, Danielle.
Hi.
We're going to pretend like we weren't just talking before.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
girl. Good
Hi,
to
how are
see you.
you? You too.
Welcome, welcome. So, Danielle is a director, producer, writer, artist, educator, mom, wife. Like the list is so gangster, right? Full of things. And I'm excited, excited, excited. And one of my friends. I feel like I should be able to add that. That's important. Um, but yes, I'm so excited to have you here. I want to talk to you about all the stuff that you've got going on. I know you're going to give us a good teaching. So, this is the part of the show that I love the most. Most of y'all hate it, but I love it. It is your 30-second commercial. I'm going to ask that you take over for the next 30 seconds. Tell us what you want us to know about you, introduce yourself, get chummy with us. All right,
Cool.
let's rock.
All right. All right. So as she said, I'm an actor, director, producer, educator. I consider myself an artistic or creative doula of sorts, where I'm able to help folks either plant the seeds of creativity and or bring their dreams to fruition. And so I'm also a artist of the spirit coach, where I utilize my intuitive and my energetic gifts to help folks step into their more authentic and abundant life. Um, of that work, I'm super, super jazzed about working with solo performance artists. Um, and that's exciting. And I use various techniques in that work that we'll talk more about. Um, but I teach in Washington, D.C.
Nice, nice. You dropped a whole lot of word for like a lot of you will have to break down terminology
Okay, no
that
worries.
I'm excited to hear. So let's get started. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tonight I've got my Cabernet. You said you're drinking water.
I got my water.
Everybody, be sure to check in, tell us hi, and we'll try to pay attention as much as we can to the comments, but mostly just letting Danielle talk. So, you are, like you said, many things.
Mhm.
And right now you're specifically splitting your time between teaching and um,
Directing primarily.
directing primarily,
Hmm.
but also working on this kind of like new methodology, new way for directing and performing, right?
Essentially, yeah.
That's
So
essentially.
just a little background. So
Mhm,
I'm an actor first. As an artist,
mhm,
I'm an actor first, and I came to the theater as an actor. Had an opportunity to really dig into um, the mind, emotion, right? And as an
mhm,
actor, you've got to, and when you're creating characters, you've got to dig deep into those realms. And so, long time ago, I started doing a lot of reading and getting into mind and life, and
mhm.
ways in which we can enhance the interaction between our mind and our bodily function.
Okay.
And so in talking about acting, it really comes with ease, right? This way to talk about creativity and talk about the work
Mhm.
while you are engaging the whole person.
So, are you speaking like on the lines of like method acting, but deeper?
Um, yeah.
Because what it
Method
sounds like, I
acting.
mean, it
Yeah.
sounds like you're talking.
It's
Are you
what
intentionally pulling from
I am
events?
intentionally pulling from techniques such as Rasa boxes, right?
Okay.
The Rasa box technique,
Hmm.
where you are connecting the breath to emotion
Yep.
and
Okay.
pulling from the inside and pulling
Hmm.
deep, digging deep from the inside.
Hmm.
But when it comes out, it's something entirely new and entirely dependent on the text.
Right. Okay. And so are you designing a method that incorporates that, or are you um perfecting an expertise in a method that already exists?
Perfection is not a thing that I strive for, right?
Right. Or
Um,
are you gaining expertise in something that already exists?
I'm gaining expertise in things that already exist, but they
Hmm.
don't necessarily exist together.
Right. So you're creating the fusion.
I think so, yes.
You think so?
I think so.
It sounds
I
like you
know
are.
I know so.
I was about
Yeah.
to say, it's like, it kind of sounds like you know so. Okay. So you are. Okay, that's dope. How much time? I mean,
Mhm.
like, what's the timeline on that?
Well,
Can you put a timeline on something like that?
I don't know if I could put a timeline on it, but I will say that 2022 is, I'm looking at my board over here, and 2022 is the product launch. So
Yes.
something's gonna happen. And I just spoke it, so we'll
Out
see.
loud. Exclusive. This is another exclusive. Tribe Talking on a Tuesday exclusive. Y'all be dropping these exclusives. I'm here for it. So we know we're getting a mind body something. It's as you're going to put it in a way that we can see it, read it, experience it, move, pay you to teach it to us.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Nice. Now, is that the same thing as care? I know you've been saying you've got a thing called care.
Yeah, so CARE is compassionate anti-racism and equity. And CARE was created by, shout out, Lucretia Marie Anderson, with
Hey, what's up, Lucretia?
Joyful
That's my favorite
Muse.
name, Lucretia.
Yeah, it's a pretty name. With
Hmm.
Joyful Muse Coaching, and it
Hmm.
is an opportunity to uh, help organizations and educational institutions really reflect on their racial justice and social inequity within their confines, within their structure. So using mindfulness, which is a mind body therapy technique, using
Hmm.
mindfulness and compassion to really look inward in order to care for oneself
Hmm.
and care for the others. And I mean the others in that quote sense, the other people
Okay.
unlike you.
So, how is that different from what other DEI companies are doing right now?
Well, it's similar if they're using mindfulness
Mhm.
practices. It's very similar, very similar. But I would say what's different is Black women leading it,
Mhm.
and yeah, Black artists
Someone
leading
said,
it.
but does racial justice exist? Racial justice is not racial justice as in theory exists. It's not in practice, but the term is real, and it's something
Determine
people are. The term is real, and it's something being sought after
and
aggressively.
to strive for and to
Yeah.
strive for. I mean, and I think what's neat about care and just the way that I'm approaching all that I do directing wise and
Mm.
teaching wise is that I'm striving to be anti-racist.
Mhm.
I am, um, but I can only do that when I am acknowledging my compliance in and hurt from all of the systems
Right.
that were designed
No,
to
that's
make
so
us
real.
struggle.
I actually was telling someone not too long ago. Um, there are there are some of us, and I'm talking about like me and people like me, who lived kind of like I was kind of sheltered coming up a bit, right?
Hmm.
So by the time I experienced racism or understood oppression, I was a bit older than most people I think are when they first experience it. And so that has catapulted me into this process of decolonizing so much of just kind of who like what I believe to be true because I didn't experience it was
Hmm.
because it came at me so late, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Hmm.
And I find in like this work when you're talking about compassion and equity and racial justice, Rachel says you're awesome. And racial justice that there is a certain amount of, you got to meet everyone at their individual place.
Where they
And you
are.
can't assume because someone is Black or Latina or whatever, you can't assume their experience.
Yeah,
So I think I like what I believe I'm hearing is that it's this intentional and individual approach to a larger collective problem
absolutely.
that's rooted in the heart.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I like that. I like that.
Definitely heart-centered. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, and meeting people where they are because why not? Like
Hmm.
to do otherwise is to not set folks up for success.
Well, some would say because it's a lot, right? Like if you go into a room and there's a team of 50 people and you have to figure out how to touch, get to each person so that
Mhm.
you cannot create some collective understanding of what is good behavior in this space, right? What is
Right.
proper. That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of
It takes
work.
a very special person to do that.
It is a lot of work. Yeah.
Someone said, just curious. Is that you, Lindsay? Just curious. Do you get a lot of pushback during racial justice work?
Yes. Yes, primarily uh primarily having to do with the personal,
Mm-hmm.
because folks are raw, especially right now. Folks are just raw as they should be, right? And we should be holding each other um
Mm-hmm.
through all of this. But yeah, no, the pushback is there because when you're talking about when you're talking about equality, there
Mm-hmm.
are folks that have lived their entire lives not thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so the
Not having to
unlearning,
think about it. Not having to
not
think about it.
not having to. And so the unlearning that has to be done. Like like we are who we are because of how we grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not we had strong or even impactful racial
Mm-hmm.
incidents that allowed us to begin to figure out who we were in the world. It
Mm-hmm.
it exists, and it's hard, and it's
Right.
painful.
Yeah. I think, and it's for me now to get back to the stage. And I would like to know, does care have a theatrical component, or is that just heart? Is that another passion work that just legitimizes you got right and left brain, um, or is it something that ties into your creative process?
So currently, I personally am looking to um, integrate the compassion and anti-racism and
Mm-hmm.
equity into my classroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Working through that way, um, but then also just how I show up. So
Mm-hmm.
whether I'm walking into a rehearsal room or a classroom or a conference room, um, that is how I wish to show up, with the capability of being compassionate, with the
Mm-hmm.
lens of anti-racism and the goal of equity.
I really wish you would learn playback.
I will. Why don't you
I
teach
think,
me?
well, I will teach you, but I think that's like, I think that's your thread. I'd
You
love to
think
teach it
so?
to you.
I want to
Whatever
learn.
you adapt from it, not in its current state. You'd have to
Hmm.
make it, but I think the base forms and things, I'd love to sit with you over that.
That's exciting. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
it's exciting for me too. I'm excited about that.
We're gonna do
Um,
it.
so I know one thing that has, and I'll say this kind of broad strokingly as it's supposed to segue into a question. There is a chance that it won't. Okay.
Okay.
So sometimes I try to get the segues going. It might be an abrupt shift. We'll see. But for one of the reasons I don't go to the theater anymore, right? Aside from COVID,
Hmm.
is because I don't like it, right? I used to love the theater. How do you choose what projects you direct? What stands out to you? Um, I'm going to ask this first, and then we'll get back into why I don't go to the theater because that's a
Okay.
longer conversation. Um, Sahat has asked, what projects? How do you choose what projects to direct, and what stands out for you?
Yeah. Wow. What stands out for me
Sahat,
is
if you're looking to see if she's the one, she is. But I'm going to let her answer anyway. Go ahead.
um uh what do I look? I mean I look for my ability to show up in the work.
Mm-hmm.
So as a black woman, right? There are now like lots and lots of opportunities for black women to show up in their work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I equally appreciate classic classic texts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like August Wilson and Shakespeare. I thoroughly enjoy solo performance,
Mm-hmm.
um, like I mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if I'm able to tell a story about Black people,
Yeah.
whether or not whether it's the primary story or we can actually like show up
Mm-hmm.
um, for folks, that's what steers me.
I'm going to add some things that she's probably politely leaving out, but like the story actually has to be good. So
That
there needs to be
well,
like a talented writer. And I
that
think
is
that's
without saying, right?
it's not without saying at
It's
all.
not.
It's not. It's not. There's a lot of not good writing being produced, and there's a lot of directors who are being put in the position of having to assist in like editing, like deep down rewriting
Rewriting,
scripts
sure.
um, when it wasn't originally discussed, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I think before you start, I would like to add that to the list of things that would probably influence the way that you
Oh,
respond to the
definitely.
text. Yeah, like, do I have to rewrite
Definitely.
this? And then I not answering the question anymore, but this actually may have been my segue. Look at God. Um, but like, but like, I've lost interest in the way that um, theater is showing up. I think it's either you get there and they're like ripping some band-aid off of you that's like a deep wound, and then they just leave you gushing. There's no resolve or and there's nothing at the end of it that makes you leave feeling unscarred, or
Mhm.
you're just traumatized, or it's so goofy that you're like embarrassed to associate yourself with it. Like, I can't believe,
Mhm.
like why did I just watch that? Or it's just blatantly anti-black.
Mhm.
And I have a bad habit of like studying plays before I go see them.
Mhm.
So when I get there,
There are no
if I
surprises.
yeah, but then there's always some fucked up surprise. So I say that to ask you, how you feel about the theater right now, outside of I mean, not even outside of what you're directing, but like, how do you feel about the theater right now, and like, what's coming across your desk?
How do I feel about the theater right now? I mean, I think the theater is really trying to shift, and in I think that many theaters and producers are shifting
Mhm.
um,
What do you
into
mean shifting? What does shift mean?
shifting, putting their focus on telling more stories. Um, and more
Yeah,
more than just diverse stories, but really
yeah,
shifting their focus, shifting their energy um toward that. I mean, it's like a the last year and a half has been a complete open door
yeah.
for 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 changing and for listening.
Mhm.
um and so I think it's we have a long way to go, and I'm not
Oh
with an
yeah, hell yeah,
institution. I'm not with any particular
yeah.
institution. And so I will say though that uh, racial justice, access, inclusion, right, are things that have been talked about for
Mhm.
long time. But
Mhm.
many artists and institutions are in 2022 just putting their foot in and on the train that's been running. And
Mm.
so there's a lot of work to follow through with being able
I
to
think what's
offer.
exciting, I think what's exciting now is that there's money. Like I'm seeing way more, like a lot of larger funders. Like, have you looked at the art archive
Not yet,
opportunities list?
not yet, but I flagged it.
You know, that's my go-to. Like that's my probably my favorite one.
Okay.
Um, it's the artworkarchive.com. Maybe it's
Mhm.
.org, but I think it's .com. They produce a list of grants and opportunities, residencies for artists and creative people every year, and so they put theirs out at the beginning, just of this last week. Um, and I'm seeing so much more money going directly to Black and brown people. Like they're
Mhm.
being very clear, like this money belongs to a Black person.
Mhm.
Like if you are not Black, do not apply, like that.
Right, right.
And that's exciting
It is.
because because it's already, these things are so saturated. These applications are so saturated, especially the high dollar ones. So to see high dollar ones saying we need to level the playing field, and so you guys don't even bother, I think that's dope.
Mhm.
How do you feel about that? I mean, and it also
It's
gives me
about
like,
it's about time, I feel.
yeah, it's like
It's
it's mad
about
late, but
time.
we're here. Mhm.
Yeah. And many can look would could possibly look at it as like throwing money. But I
Oh yeah,
think in
this is
20
white
but
guilt money. Like it's not like happy loving money. It's like, oh
right.
shit, we've been fucking up
We
money. That's what it is,
right.
and it's
Right.
okay. I'll take that. That spins.
It
No,
sure does. It no, it does. It does.
spins.
It does. But then it's up to the collectives to really hold folks accountable after the money runs out.
Yeah, like you can't do. Yeah, the thing that I don't like about what happens with the money is when these legacy organizations get it, and then they regrant it or they move it around, but it's like in your face explicitly the same people that they're giving it to. They're not
Mhm.
searching for new talent. They're not looking to expand the depth and the breadth of our creative and artistic community. They're just like, you know what? These are my people right here, and I already promised my people that they was going to get it. So that's where it goes, and that's
Mhm.
disappointing. And I almost wish, I don't want to say that I want to give funders more power. Funders already have so much ridiculous authority, but I almost want to say, like, if you grant the same organization twice, they can't give to the same pool twice, and like be very clear about that. Like, even if it means it's under a different project name, no, it's the same people, so that we
Mhm.
can get out of
Spread
our
the love.
cliques and
Mhm.
create these, because they're like some young, like really young, really dope artists that like people are just not seeing. Are you seeing
Mhm.
them in your classroom?
I would say n- n- not where I'm at right now. No,
Oh,
not
that's right, because
not where I'm
you're at
at.
a white school. But I mean, maybe you got some good white talent coming out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, one of the things that excites me about the work that I do with the universities is that I primarily teach beginning acting. And so
Mm,
I get non-majors. So I get folks who are not
mhm,
studying theater, that may not even wish to act, but this course exposes them to having an appreciation for the craft, but then also getting them the experience. And, so in a class like that, I'll have biology majors, auditioning for shows at the university because they feel comfortable enough in their skin and with the tools that they've been given to show
mhm.
up.
I love that. I really, I'm casting another ensemble at soon, and I almost want to work with all non-actors.
Mm. I mean, I think that not saying anything about against actors who
No,
train,
no,
because
actors are
I'm an
lovely. I'm an
actor.
actor.
Yeah, I'm an actor who
I am an
trained.
actor.
Um,
Mhm.
but I did go to a liberal arts school, right?
Same. Well,
So
I didn't, but I studied liberal
the
arts.
my appreciation for and commitment to uh,
Mhm.
the whole artist and
Mhm.
all of the other different things that topics and um, concentrations that really help me be the artist that I am, because
Mhm.
it's not just taking acting classes that got me where I am
Yeah,
today. It's
yeah,
actually a lot of the other experiences, the life experiences.
yeah. And
Um,
when you talk about hard work, you're talking about like you want people who like I love educators who have some raw talent, or like social workers who have some raw talent. Because those
mhm.
are people who've like seen enough shit, but also have had to like figure out humor. Um, like real humor. You know what I mean? They can make a
Yeah,
real fucked up situation funny. Like I love that, and I find sometimes when you're trained, you lose that natural, those natural cadences, that just that regular. You're always thinking of the technique, you
sure,
know.
sure, sure.
So I love that. I love that you have that opportunity to teach those guys.
Particularly in the way that we train and have been
Yeah,
trained. I think
yeah,
that that's even shifting for the better as we are trying
yeah.
to um, make classrooms more inclusive, make rehearsal rooms more inclusive, and
Hmm.
see people as human beings and not just
Real.
as the workers. Yeah.
I think you're like you're dreaming. Like it's like a You know, I hear what you're saying. Like we are getting there, but I feel like the way that you're saying it, it sounds like it's like really close.
But it's so far.
It feels it's far, but the audacity is like on both sides right now. It's so interesting. I love, love, love when people will fight back. I
Hmm.
love it. That shit is like, and I'm enjoying, even though I'm not part of I'm not what I would consider part of the American theater system.
Hmm.
Because I don't really do legit stage anymore, or like, you know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
Um, but I still have a love for the process and and my friends who are. So to see like people turning down jobs if the pay isn't right, and calling out these institutions that are doing trash, treating people wrong, and um, demanding that salaries be listed on, all of that stuff. Like I'm just so excited and so proud of it. Like
Hmm.
that audacity. In order to get to what you were just talking about, like we're gonna
Right.
need so much of that.
Fighting
Kudos to
spirits.
y'all. If you're one of the people watching and you've been kicking back, good job. Congratulations. If it matters, I'm fucking proud.
I
I
love
think
it.
Danielle said she is too.
I'm proud too. Yeah.
So talk to me about what you're doing next.
What am I doing next? So I'm
Yeah, like tell us
teaching.
what can we look forward to? What's going on with you?
I'm directing She Kills Monsters at
What's this?
UMBC.
She kills.
She
She
Kills
kills monsters.
Monsters. It's a play about grief. It's a play about sisterhood and the
Mhm.
imagination. Um,
Who's it
and
by?
the Queen Nguyen, an
It's new.
artist. Not no. This is a 2016 publication that we're using,
Mm,
but it
okay.
originated in 2012 or 2011, 2012. It
Okay. I'm
it
excited.
really made universities, particularly with COVID and having everything shut down.
Hmm.
This particular play is really has a really great virtual adaptation.
Oh,
So it's been popular among the universities in these last several years.
dope. Are you doing a virtual version?
No, we're doing a live version um, with, all the monsters you can think of, including the Tiamat, which is like the multi-headed dragon. It's gonna be fabulous. It's gonna be so.
You get to
I
play with
look
props and
Yes.
costumes.
Oh yes, yes,
I
and
love
lots
costume
of
costumes.
lots of fighting, lots of energetic fighting.
Okay.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Who's your fight choreographer? Do I know them?
Chelsea Pace, Professor Pace. Shout out to Professor Pace.
Shout out to Professor Pace.
Um, they run the theatrical intimacy education organization that provides lots of professional development for
I am so
folks.
excited that that form is the intimacy training and in the
Yes.
theater. So glad. Shout out to Anne.
And yes,
Yeah, shout out to Anne,
and James.
pioneering in that. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I'm gonna put her. She, matter of fact, offers courses. I'm gonna put her link in here somewhere. Um, Talk about that. You had an experience where you needed to call in and like backup for was it
Yeah, so
talk about that. So
Kill Move
yeah,
Paradise
yeah, yeah.
um, is a show that really focused on the Black male experience and
Mm,
was heavy, heavy, and wonderful at the same time. And early on in the process, we got talking about how do we take care of the artists, right? And so just talking with the producer Joseph Rich, who's awesome, um, being able to advocate for the artist's well-being mentally and physically was key. And so being able to bring in grief counselors to be there for whoever and whenever, including the audience. We had them at the performances, and they were equipped with helping the audience deal with the content. So it
dope.
was across the board. So the artists and the audience were served. And that was, really being able to advocate for the health and wellness of Black men in a white space was it wasn't easy, but I did it. We did it, and they were taken care of, and that's what was most important to me.
I'm gonna say something, and I don't really do this on this show, but it's 111 January 11th, and I'm into numbers and spirit, right? So
Hmm.
just now, I don't know if anybody else heard it, but when you started talking about that experience, it was all shaky. It was like fiber octave. You sound like it was like really, really grainy. Was it? Can somebody tell me if it was grainy for them too? Because if it wasn't, then that's even I'm gonna start tripping. And then as soon as you were finished, it stopped.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right?
Well, I didn't notice anything on my end,
Please don't
but
let it have just been on my side. Okay, Rachel heard it too.
oh wow.
Yeah, but it was like only when you were explaining the process, and
Mhm.
then once you finished explaining the process, it came back.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. I had to pull a card on that one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have you do that for me.
Oh yeah, not right now. That's too private. We'll do that later.
Okay.
I mean, not saying that y'all aren't part of our crew. Welcome. We're glad you're here.
No, I
But
get
yeah,
it.
I just thought that was weird. Um,
Yeah.
but
So after directing and teaching this semester, I'm planning to be out of town. I'll have my
where you
first.
going?
I'll talk more about it. I'll post about it. I
You
can't
going
say it
far?
right now. No, no, not too far.
Oh, okay.
And just
I
for
was
a few
hoping you were gonna
weeks.
say you had to go across some water. I was gonna be like, oh, where's she going?
That's next, right? That's
Yes, it
next.
is.
Um,
I'm excited.
but I'm
I
looking,
can't wait for this to be done. Are you gonna like write an essay, get published, and be like, one of those like, I
academics.
yeah, you can be like super academic with this.
I
I
don't
hope
think
so.
so.
You should.
You think I should? I'm not.
Got like an academic side.
Barely, barely. But I mean, I can fake it till I make it.
And that what Rihanna said?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think the opportunity to write about what I do and the type of work that really drives me is, yeah, why not, right? I also want to write a memoir.
Oh, you should.
I want to
Mm.
write a memoir.
I feel like I'm gonna wait till my son's a little older so I can explain to him what's in it before I write it.
Mhm.
Get his permission.
Mhm. I like that.
Yeah, because I ain't trying to have no resentful ass kid. You know what I'm saying? A
Oh,
memoir, you gotta air it out. you,
you do.
you,
You do.
you
You
gotta
do.
air it out.
But
So,
I'd hope that my memoir would be more of a balm for individuals dealing with like mental health
yeah.
and um and navigating the spaces that I've navigated
Hmm.
and have come through resiliently, um
Yeah.
if I might say so myself.
Yes.
um
Roxanne Gay just posted today that she's
that's like a
producing a
$25,000 award
$25,000 fellowship.
for a
Yeah,
newsletter.
for
It's very
for a
exciting.
newsletter. You should please submit. Anybody who's a decent writer, because Roxanne don't seem like she's somebody who would look at it and really play with you with no trash. But because her writing is dope, I actually enjoy her writing a lot, or
Mhm.
their writing a lot. But
Mhm.
Roxanne Gay just produced. It's called the Joel Gay Fellowship after her brother. And I think to submit, you need to conceptualize a newsletter.
Mhm.
Um, and there's pretty. I mean, you can just go to there, just Google it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and but it's an amazing opportunity. I mean, it's a well-paid opportunity, and I say go for it
Go for
if you're
it,
into it. If you're
definitely.
a writer, I don't know what I would write about for a newsletter. I'm too random.
It
I'd
can
have to
have
like
several
really,
it can have several parts.
yeah, it
You
would
should
have to,
you should think on it. You should think on it a
or
little.
I should just let some real writers. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Leave it for the folks
Who do the thing.
who do the thing. Who do the thing better than me?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Uh, so what are you doing for fun these days? I mean, part of this again, like keep trying to tell y'all, we want to talk about how dope you are at work, but we also want to know that like you're okay. So how are you?
I am
What are you doing for fun these days?
I am pandemic fine. Okay? Like, let's just acknowledge we still in pandemic and I don't want to leave my
Yeah,
house still
yeah.
for health reasons and such like that. But we're back and in person doing some things. But for fun, I like to chill. I like to chill with my family. I got two young ones, and I enjoy spending time with them. The holidays were just happened, and so I was
Mm-hmm.
able to spend lots of time with family, with sisters, cousins, and all of that. Shout
Mm-hmm.
out to my sister Rosalie, whose birthday is today. Happy
Oh, happy birthday,
birthday!
Rosalie! Another beautiful name.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so spending time with family. I love reading. I love reading about what I do. Um, and I'm hoping to get into some good shows.
Mm-hmm.
In the next couple months. Um, so if you have any recommendations for any good TV I could watch, let me
Oh,
know.
all I watch is cop shows and BBC.
I love it. I
Don't
love
look to
it.
me for nothing. I love BBC shows.
Yeah.
They're just so much. They're just talented. I could watch BBC shows all day long, especially their versions of like Law and Order and stuff. They're so much
Mm.
better.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I've been watching Quantico. I like Quantico.
Okay.
Well, I liked the first two seasons of Quantico. I don't know what happened in the third season. But I
Yeah.
like Blair Underwood.
Mhm. Mhm. He's a
He's
good
one of
one.
my old
Long
school. You know what I
long
mean?
time.
Like, oh yeah, old faithful joint. You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
I like him a lot. But I mean,
Um,
for fun, I mean, I don't know if necessarily mean if you have to leave the house. I mean,
I
I've been
like
playing
to
with,
rest. That's fun.
yeah, I've been
For
playing
real,
with
for
tea.
real. Tea?
I've been, yeah, I've been playing with tea. Like I've been trying to find comfortable substitutes for coffee,
Mhm.
and I
Mhm.
found this French roast tea,
Wow.
and I make it with matcha, and it's
Okay.
so yummy. I have to take a picture and send you.
I have a
It's good.
great I have a great lavender lemonade that I got recently. And it has crystallized honey in the tea
Mm,
bag. It's really
mm.
exciting. But yeah, tea is good. I love a great I love a great like what do we have now? Cinnamon rooibos.
Cinnamon is so good for you. I was pre-diabetic. I had this whole thyroid thing. Did I tell you about it? I don't know. We'll talk later. But I had this
Okay.
whole situation where I like almost died. And apparently like one of the primary things that got my numbers down and got me back healthy was cinnamon. I take a cinnamon pill every morning and I drink
That
a
is
cup of cinnamon tea before bed every night.
wow.
I'm not even pre-diabetic anymore.
That's great. I love that.
Mhm. So I'm glad you're drinking it.
Yeah. It's tasty and I'm glad.
Preventative.
Yes, I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yeah. Well, that cinnamon, it's cinnamon. I did cinnamon, chromium, and fenugreek.
Mhm.
But you know, fenugreek, I was drinking that before because I was drinking it when I had my son.
Okay.
So then I was like, you know, I don't know why I ever stopped taking prenatal vitamins.
Mm.
So, but then I just didn't want to buy prenatal vitamins, so I just incorporated the fenugreek again. And
Mhm.
it's actually like you should see my doctors are like, "What'd you do?"
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
that's
like, "Yeah, y'all trying to
interesting.
kill us and give us
Yeah.
all these drugs."
My midwives
Not,
actually recommended continuing taking the prenatal vitamins for a
yeah,
while after.
yeah. If I
Um,
remember when I'm at the store, I'll get some more. But I never. It's in India
remember.
food. It's in India food. Yeah, Indian food. Indian food is good for you. I just don't
Mhm.
necessarily like Indian food. All right. This is I don't. We're getting off topic. This conversation just like I'm looking at the comments like,
Tea,
can you see the comments?
herbs.
You know I'm not talking to myself, right? Can you see the comments?
Do I see comments?
On the
Oh,
side
now
there's a
I
thing.
see comments.
This
Look at
happens every show.
that.
I be trying to tell y'all. Y'all listen to me.
I love it.
Y'all
Oh,
listen to
look
me.
at that.
Does anybody have any questions for Danielle?
Hey, y'all.
I wanted to ask you about um but I didn't want to put you in a precarious position.
I'll tell you if it's precarious or not.
I was going to say break down your experience working with a PWI versus working with a HBCU.
Oh, that's controversial because
The only
resources.
reason I say that is because I was going to tell you another story. I almost there's someone came to me with almost the same exact experience you had. I mean, like it was so close to
At at a university or an institution you're talking about?
they were at both. They were at a predominantly white institution, and then they were at a HBCU.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I feel like sometimes this is controversial, but sometimes we know how to uphold white supremacy more than white folks do.
that's the truth because
Um,
they give you shiny things.
yeah.
And there's that whole thing. I was telling one of my homegirls who's also in DEI, and I was like, why don't y'all pitch to these black institutions the same way you pitch into these white institutions? And
Mm,
instead of going in and just like trying to fix white people, and make these white spaces more diverse, why can't we take some time to teach compassion and equity and you know
I hear you.
anti bullshit to these our legacy spaces that we need and we
Yes.
love and we want to stick around.
Yes.
And every
Yes.
time I say that, people just kind of look at me like they want to get paid.
True. True.
But keep going. I'm sorry.
But yeah, so, it's difficult. Both have their challenges.
Mhm.
Um and in my experience, it's been interesting. Um
Mhm.
but then also at the same time, you've got, you when you have resources, you are able to um relax and be
Mhm.
free a little bit, right? A
Yeah,
little bit. Um and so
because you're not
that
stressed out about if you're going to be able to get the stuff that you
right,
need.
right. But I will say particularly like um working with an institution that's not a university per se.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I left my full-time job years ago, in 2018, and
Mhm.
it was at that time the discussion about equity and inclusion and anti-racism for this
Mhm.
particular institution, it began, right?
Mhm.
The conversation began, but they weren't ready.
Mhm.
They weren't ready.
Mhm.
Now they might be ready, but
Maybe.
they weren't ready then. I
Mhm.
mean, they're showing signs of uh movement forward, but they weren't ready. And so I left at a time that I had high hopes. I had hopes um to help usher in a culture shift.
Mhm.
Um but they weren't ready.
I feel like once an organization has been behaving a certain way for a certain amount of time, like if it's a substantial amount of time, there's not really work to be done inside of the organization. It needs to be torn apart and rebuilt. Like
Right.
there
Yes.
are there are the newer organizations that might have had a few missteps that you can go in and you could kind of work the team over and without having to completely obliterate the backbone of the organization. But for the most part, I feel like it's deconstructing the board, it's firing all the leadership, it's rewriting the bylaws, it's redoing all the training manuals. It's really like, especially in these spaces that and I try to I worked with an organization last year that was trying to develop, or that did successfully develop, a teaching artist fellowship for Black and Brown teaching artists, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And the idea behind that is really stunning because they recognized that these teaching artists were gigging consistently for years with this organization, were
Mhm.
never put on salary, were never given like a supervisory position, were never uh, trained or prepared to move into some type of management or supervisory position, right? And
Right.
that's an equity issue because white folks were, right?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
these organizations are predominantly Black and they're predominantly serving Black people.
Mhm.
Um, but the issue is it's a national organization. And so if you have a national organization, and this is the culture across the board for this entire organization, and they've been here for 40 years operating this way, one region offering, three people a year a stipend to make themselves feel better doesn't change the culture
Right.
across the board for the larger organization. The larger organization, the nucleus needs to be disrupted,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Am I talking out my
No,
ass? Go
that's
ahead.
no, I mean, especially now, right?
Mhm.
Especially, like, there's no there's no time but time.
Right.
And um they've got to be, dismantle is the word that comes to mind. Right? The structures have to be what it is has to be broken down,
Yeah.
right? And not just
Yeah.
put back together, but creating something different, something new.
Completely reimagined.
Completely, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And that's why I think I feel like for these new leaders of arts organizations, these new leaders of these legacy organizations, the Latino, the Latinx person there, the Black person here, Asian person there, I worry for them because just throwing someone in the position of CEO or ED doesn't disrupt the culture if you haven't done the work to disrupt the culture. Now you've just put someone in harm's way and offered them
Absolutely.
a cute check for it.
A cute check and no support,
No support.
and no
And then how
community
do we support
around.
them? Like you just call somebody up like, "Hey, I just saw you got this promotion, so I just want to let you know when they start tripping,
I mean,
I got
isn't that what happens already, right?
like how do we
Isn't that what happens already? Like we're
like,
and I mean, m- most of us know each other's work, right? To a certain
yeah, yeah, yeah.
extent. And so, I mean, I light a candle every time I see somebody with a new position. I light a candle just to, you know, put out there that I am hoping
Hmm.
and praying
Yeah,
for their well-being, you know?
yeah. I drop a few words. I read the posts and I'm like, "Ooh, please
Mhm.
cover and protect." Because they won't tell us. I think that's the other thing. We gotta get rid of this whole like pride thing. Like, dude, if somebody's doing you wrong, say it.
Mhm.
That's why I didn't like the "We See You White Theater" thing. I didn't like it because they didn't call nobody's name.
We see White American Theater.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I was
Yeah.
like, what's the point of all
Yeah.
this jibber jabbering back and forth in the pews and ain't nobody saying nobody's name?
And
How
in
do I
some
know? How do I know who's doing the problem, doing the harm?
True, true. And in some respects, I think that just that shaking of the basket has allowed for naturally folks to show themselves, institutions to show themselves. Um, and some are showing themselves and not even realizing it.
Yeah, but I also have seen some like pretty decent groups. Like I feel bad for these guys, the ones who like would normally be legit, but because of the time, like if they say something like we believe in anti-racism, now we're looking at them like, oh, here goes another guy with a public letter on the, you know what I mean? And I
Hmm.
feel like everybody kind of got like pushed into this thing. I don't know,
Willingly or unwillingly.
willingly or unwillingly.
Yeah,
I do miss good theater.
I know you do.
I
I know
do.
you do. Oh, I know you
I
do.
do. I miss good theater. I miss getting dressed and saying I'm going to the theater. I miss, supporting dope artists on stage who I know are being treated right instead of me feeling like I paid into somebody kicking their
Somebody's harm.
ass.
Hmm.
Yeah, I miss that. And I wonder because who's left? NEC is gone. Did NEC close? I know
Did
they were
it?
having trouble getting funded. Did they
Yeah,
close?
I don't remember.
Billie Holiday's still open.
Yeah.
What other legacy? St. Louis Rep.
Mhm.
Who else is still going? Echo's
Pen
been gone.
Echo's been gone. Uh, Penumbra is doing their thing.
Who?
Penumbra? You don't know
Where's that?
Penumbra? In Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Mm-mm.
You know.
Maybe I don't call it
It's
what
just
you
not
calling it.
coming to you. It's just not coming to you.
What's the acronym stand for?
Penumbra is the name.
That's the name of the
That's the
organization?
name. Penumbra
That's the name of the theater?
Theater.
That's the name of
Yes.
the theater? I don't
Yes.
think I've ever heard of them.
Sarah Bellamy is leading it. Her
I know
father.
Sarah Bellamy.
Yes.
Okay, who else? I'm gonna research it and
Yeah.
probably be mad at myself tomorrow. Um, I'm trying to think.
I'm
I
not.
mean,
I can't
not
think
people
of one.
producing stage like that. I feel like there's a lot of arts, black arts organizations, like black arts companies,
Not
but not
just
like just
theaters.
not theater companies.
Mm-hmm.
You gonna bring the Higuera back? I feel like that was probably the best segue for the whole show.
There's certainly, I feel like I feel like all of the work that I do is underneath the umbrella of the JER, right? Um, uh, and it is possible. I don't know if it'll be in DC though.
It shouldn't.
I don't know if it'll be in DC.
It should be worldwide. You ain't got no base.
Yeah,
I
no,
love that actually. I really that sounds exactly how it should be.
I've been thinking and dreaming and, wanting
Yeah,
to push forward with, what has worked.
yeah,
But then also, stretching myself and challenging myself. That's
nice.
important.
All right, we're winding down, y'all.
Okay.
But before we go, this is a time where I give you your soul a screen and I ask you, kind of like the same thing with your 30-second commercial, but this time a little bit more specific, where people can find you,
Mhm.
how to get in touch with you, what you are open to these days. If you have any dream collaborations, what those are, maybe those people could be out there and hear it, you know? So give me one
Mhm.
second to give you the floor. All right.
Well,
So
first and foremost, I can be reached on all the platforms. Ms. Drake's is the name, or Ms. Drake's Journey, and that's MIZ Drake's Journey. Um, my website is msdrakescreates.com. I can be reached there, definitely. What am I dreaming? I'm hoping and dreaming. I'm really looking forward to. I don't have one yet, but I'm looking forward to working with a performance artist, solo artist. It's been a theme in the work that I've done, and so I haven't done one in a little while. So I'm looking forward to that. Really cultivating and nurturing the space in which someone can, really authentically bring all of themselves to the story that they want to tell. Uh, so if anybody's out there looking for someone to help be nurtured and in that process, give me a holler. Um, but what else? What else do I want to say? I want to thank y'all for being here, and thank thank you, ma'am, for being an inspiration, um, with this series, but with the work that you do, with the support that you give, not only to me, but to all of the folks that you work with. So that's all I wanted to say. And I hope to see folks around when I get out the house. Oh, I can't hear you.
don't be talking sweet to me.
Well, no, it's just you are, yeah, no, you
I
know,
love you. Don't be
you
talking
know.
sweet to me. I ain't got time. I ain't got time. I got a thug card and all kind of stuff. I got a reputation. Um, yes. I'm actually, when I was listening to you speak, I am dreaming of a collaboration between you and Holly Bass.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
love, love, love.
Holly is amazing.
Holly is fucking stunning.
Yeah,
And I think the two of you together would be rad,
yeah,
like absurd. I'm going to attempt to put that together, which just means I'm going to send you both an email and then bounce. But I'm
okay.
going to. All
Got
right,
it.
y'all. We love you. or at least I do. Even if I don't like you, I love you. And I appreciate you being here. It's been another Tribe Talking Tuesday with Miriam and today's guest, Miss Danielle Drakes. Hey, Danielle, do not click out when I press the button. I want you to stay on because I want to talk to you. But
Gotcha.
everybody else, we love you. Oh, I'm taking if you're interested in coming on the show, if you want to sit and talk to me about whatever it is you want to talk about, we have openings starting in March. So Tuesday availability starting in March. So hit me up either here in my DMs or in my email, Miriam at hbc430.com. I reserve the right to tell you no, but I'll probably tell you yes. All right, we'll see you.
I love it.
Take care.